You don't have the opportunity to fail. You don't have time to fail because your story, and remember your story, you're not 7th generation Canadians whose parents own, businesses and parts of the province. You're a refugee and you're the children of refugees, and you have to advise Somalia to be something tomorrow. You have tons of work to do. There isn't time to fail, folks. There isn't time to be mediocre. Be the best you can be.
Welcome to Integration TV. I'm Hodan Nalayeh. Hey, many of you are watching us from all over the world, and I want to welcome you to our YouTube channel and thank you for your viewership and thank you for subscribing. As you know, we are constantly bringing you new ideas that challenge our community, grow ourselves, and bring goodness back to our lives. One of the things that I'm proud to be associated with is the 4th Annual Awakening Conference, which took place in Ottawa this past weekend. And two of the organizers actually are here with me right now, and they're going to let us know what is Awakening and how is this impacting the community right here in Ottawa. Guys, I want to welcome Sharmarke Abdullahi and Ifrah Hassan, who are 2 of the organizers out of 7 people who put together this program to inspire and motivate young people in our community to do better. Welcome to the show, guys. Sharmarke and Ifrah, what a great event last night. What were the highlights for you?
One of the highlights for me last night was certainly the panel discussion. We had a wide variety of people talking about critical issues, but also offering solutions. So we had a young woman who was doing a PhD, we had a teacher who had lived experiences, and a young man who actually worked in the prison system, working with young males who were incarcerated. So it was certainly a highlight because, as you know, Awakening is not about just highlighting an issue, but also offering solutions and talking about the successes in our communities. So that was certainly a highlight for me last night.
And Ifrah, what about you?
For me, the highlight had to be Habiba Ali, who is a playwright. Very funny. Even though what she was doing was talking about, she was singing along. She has a character called Hawa Haji. And even though what she was talking about was, something to comedy, but she tied it back into the education part. And she finished it with saying that I own this, which was the education.
I love that song with the Brandy song.
The Brandy song.
The education is mine.
Exactly, yes, there you go. So that was the highlight for me, absolutely.
You know, one of the things I found interesting was, are we Somali enough? I think that was one of the questions that kept coming up last night. Like, yes. What is being Somali defined as these days?
I think in these days there's a lot of negative media attention, and I think kudos to you for the show that you do here and what you're doing in terms of Integration TV, because there's oftentimes a lot of negative media. So how do we create our own image? And I think very much this is what your show is about, highlighting the successes in the community, not just focusing on the negativity. So there's a lot of Somali successful young people who were out last night, and the key theme for me honestly was mentoring. I think there's a lot of great young professionals in our community. We focus on unfortunately, we always focus on the negatives, but how can we engage the ones that are successful to come back into their community,
isn't that
grab
powerful?
people's hands? Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming back to the community because we need more people. If not us, who?
Exactly, thank you. And that's really what we're trying to do with the Awakening is inspiring people to making sure that whatever they've gained is because of their community, and to give back is number one thing. And like Sharmarke said, mentoring, even though it's a one conference for a few hours, but there's a lot of mentoring involved. I had a lot of youth that came up to me last night after the event saying how inspired they were, and now they're going to continue. So hopefully this is something that's going to continue. It's only the 4th year, but we're hoping it'll reach 20, 30, 40 years, inshallah.
I say the next Awakening, we go straight to Hamar and take maybe 20 Somali Canadians that are born here, and we all go to Lido Beach. What do you guys think?
Great idea.
Great idea. Love it. Love it. I'm in.
Awakening Somalia. Okay?
That's it. That's it.
Our first priority here at Awakening is, for you guys to actually hear things and for you guys to grow.
A couple of years back, I told my father, why do you listen to this BBC crap? It's too much. And he would say, well, what kagi? And I'd say, listen, this little screen here has not changed for 50 years. How old am I? 28. For at least 19 years, that little screen hasn't changed from two ridiculous old men with silly names have been fighting.
You see, growing up a first-generation Canadian has taught me that I'm not someone belonging to one culture or another. Because if it were the case that I was from one or the other, then psychologists wouldn't be debating on nature versus nurture. Instead, it has taught me that I am the very embodiment of every hope and dream that my parents had when they landed here, that I am the bridge that spans across oceans and connects two completely different worlds. I am the torch-bearing guide that navigates murky waters of cross-cultural communication.
Education without professionalism is an empty ambition. While your credentials may get you through the door, it's your professionalism that 9 times out of 10 will determine whether you get the job, whether you'll be promoted, whether you'll stay in your position. In other words, even though your formal education ends when you walk across the stage, your professionalism stays with you in all aspects of your life for the rest of your life.
Wake up, Somali people, that's what I say. One of the best things that happened last night was I got to meet fascinating young Somali Canadians who are actually born in this country, never seen Somalia, and as you know, many of you know, I just went to Somalia, so I can see the contrast and difference in attitudes and spirits of the young people all over the world who are Somali. And one of the things that fascinates me is when I meet young Somalis that are hungry to connect back to their roots. And Ahmed Hussein, he's here with me right now, he's one of the organizers, and a young, impactful man. And I want to know, what is it like for him to be a Somali Canadian? Hi.
Hi.
He's so nervous.
Thank you for having me.
Don't be nervous. We have a lot of good charm in you to bring out today, right?
Hopefully.
Inshallah. So, what does Somali Canadian mean to you?
Well, there's a Somali part of me and a Canadian part of me. I am ethnically Somali, but being born in Canada, I consider myself a Canadian. So it's more of knowing who you are in this country as a person, but also knowing your roots and where you come from, and making sure you don't lose that part of yourself.
What does Awakening Conference mean to you as a young Somali Canadian?
It's awakening our Somali community, and specifically the youth, on specific issues that are important to us. And being part of Awakening for the first time this year, and talking about education, it's trying to get the conversation rolling. What is, awakening, and how do we get people to talk about education and sort of awaken them to that sort of issue? And to me, that's what it is. Trying to talk about an issue that's important and build on that and get it trending. We live in a society of social media and hashtags, and everything needs to get
I
rolling.
loved the hashtag last night. Was it Awakening Kaka?
Kaka. Yes, my Somali isn't that great, so I always say Kaka.
I'm sorry, what does it mean, Kaka?
Well,
I know what it
yes.
means.
Okay, thank God.
Stand up.
Yes, sort of to wake up, right? When you're at home, when your mom's, yes, it's Ka, But yeah, so we live
Was
in
it like your mom yelling like, Ahmed Ka?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, she does it all the time for Fajr in the morning. So that's for sure. So again, we live in a time where everything is about talking. We live in an emotional society, and everyone wants to trend, be involved in discussion. So Awakening is part of that. Throwing an important issue to our Somali community and get the conversation rolling. So get the hashtag moving, the people talking about education, and inspiring youth as well as elders to sort of harness education and the importance of education, and then go from there and make a difference in our own community as well as in the broader community with education.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. I'm very proud of you, and continue your success. You
you
are our future. We need you.
Thank you very much for having me.
I'm sorry that you seem to be confused. I want to study because I choose to.
Well, I hear all of that, but I still think you're whack. Girl, this education is taking you off track.
If it bothers you,
Doesn't bother me.
please don't pay me no mind. I am telling you, this education is mine.
waxaa la yidhi reexamarka markay dadka soo dhaweynaya marka ku dhahaan ugu yeera waxay dhahaan mirankaagi waaye marka hodan Ottawa mirankaagi waaye.
Many of you may wonder what a television host like myself knows about a topic called education. Is education getting a degree, or is there more to it? Tonight, I'm going to share my story. Many of you have watched me on television, probably wondered where did this girl who is Gala'a get to me, But I'm going to share with you my story because, like many of you in this room, I was once a young, impressionable girl. And many of you guys too. And I want to inspire you tonight to think about the meaning of education. I started Integration Television to inspire and motivate the youth because I saw what was happening in our community. You see, I understand the youth because I have lived in their shoes. As a young Somali who struggled with cultural identity and religion. When my family arrived in Edmonton in 1984, hard to believe, isn't it? So long ago. My parents focused on getting us an education in a new country. Although my father was a governor in Somalia, he was now working in a parking lot to support my 12 siblings and I. My mother, may Allah bless her always, she was walking us to school in -40 weather every day. And she had 12 children, and 7 of us were under the age of 10. So as you can imagine, seeing my parents sacrifice so much, having to adapt to a new country, to see them leave a comfortable life in Somalia and come to a new country, inspired me to always do the best I can to fulfill their dream to have a good education. So I did all the right things in life. What does that mean? Okay, so I graduated from university, got a good job, got married, had kids, 2 boys. The plan was going great. Until one day I started thinking about what life really means. And I'm sure many of you may come to that one day where you start thinking about what does your life mean in this lifetime? Somehow education took on a new meaning for me. Like many Somali professionals, I was busy working and never took time to come back to my community. That changed. In 2011, I traveled to the world's largest refugee camp called Dadaab. And you know what I saw? The beautiful Somali people that my parents talked about were suffering. They were dying. They were hungry. And then I started thinking to myself, oh my goodness, is that what education got me? To be living in a country and not thinking about the very people that I come from, the very society, the very courageous ancestors that brought me into this world. So education no longer was about me, myself, and I. Education was about impacting the lives of others and inspiring others like yourselves tonight to do the same. My passion is to inspire you tonight so that you can change yourself first. My passion, first of all, to inspire this change brought me to media. So as a mother of 2 boys under the age of 4, I went back to school. Hard to believe, right? To study broadcast journalism. Talk about the biggest challenge of my life. It was then that I learned the secret to life that's missing in many of our young people. Confidence. Every morning in class, we had to produce a newscast. And then the class would sit around and critique you and how you did. Can you imagine 25 people sitting around telling you your eyes were not looking the right way, you didn't pronounce that word correctly. And then one of the girls in my classmates, first of all, I was the oldest in my class. I wasn't the youngest, okay? I was probably I would say the most overweight because I just had a baby at that time. So I didn't fit the model of what a broadcaster would be, right? But I remember there was one girl in my class and there was something that she said to me that changed me that day. She said, Hodan, you are good at this, but you know what? you lack confidence. And I was like, wow. Can you imagine? She told me something that was eye-opening for me. If I can show confidence in my abilities in life, I can do anything. And if we can teach our children how to be confident in who they are, where they're going, and what they want to do with life, we've solved half the problems in our community. But guess what? Qofki confidence haysta maxaan rahnaa wuu isla weyn yahay. Yay isku malaysaa. Na xaggaa fadhiiso. Waxaa ma taqaanida. Can you how many of you have heard those words? How many of you guys have heard those words that, you know, you're so excited to tell someone something and they say to you, who do you think you are? You think you're gonna make it? Somali baat hai, like, yes kumalese. Do you know how many people told me I couldn't get this television show on air? Then I stopped telling people what my goals were, because I remembered every single Somali person, including family members, they're dream killers. Do not tell your dreams to Somali people. Dream killers, okay? And I speak from experience, because I sat there 6 months by myself trying to make a dream happen when everybody around me, including community leaders, who do you think you are? You're gonna be on city TV? What? So I tell you, don't tell your dreams to Somali people. I'm not anybody special, but alhamdulillah, I feel like there's times in our lives when we have callings to do the right things for our community as human beings. And I resent every single person that tells young people, don't get involved with Somali people. Don't help your community. 24 years, you know? BS. Okay? If we don't do it, who's going to? If I'm not here tonight, sacrificing my time and energy to give you guys the opportunity to see that there's value in our young people, in our community, who's gonna do it? Who? Thank you so much. This is Integration. Don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We want to inspire Somalis all over the world to come together on our platform and share their stories of struggles, of happiness, and of change. We look forward to seeing you back again.